Okay, today we are diving into one of the most incredible scriptures in all of Mahayana Buddhism, the Avatamsaka Sutra. You can think of it as this epic map of consciousness. It lays out the journey of a bodhisattva. That's someone who dedicates their entire existence to reaching enlightenment, not just for themselves, but for every living being. They climb through 10 really profound stages, and today we're zoning in on what is arguably the most critical turning point in that entire journey. So the sutra kicks off this whole section with a massive cosmic party. Seriously, the entire universe just erupts in celebration. You've got celestial music playing, heavenly beings showering the world with gifts. It's a big deal. So you have to ask yourself, what just happened? What kind of breakthrough would warrant a celebration on a universal scale? Well, that celebration, it's all because the bodhisattva has just reached the 8th ground, or the 8th bhumi. And listen, this isn't just another rung on the ladder. This is a quantum leap. It's a fundamental shift in the very fabric of their being. And this is where things get really interesting. So what is the immovable ground anyway? Well, the name itself is a huge clue. The bodhisattva becomes completely, unshakably stable. And we're not talking about just standing still. This is a deep, profound inner poise. They gain this incredible insight the text calls Wu Shun Fa Ren. And a simple way to wrap your head around that is they see, with total clarity, that nothing in the universe was ever truly born. And if it was never born, it can never truly die. Things just are. Now, getting to this point completely changes the game. For 7 incredibly long stages, the Bodhisattva's journey was all about effort. Constant, conscious striving. Just imagine you're rowing a tiny boat with all your might against a powerful current. That's what it was like. But then, at the 8th ground, they enter the state of effortless action. The striving just stops. The boat has hit the open sea. The sails have caught the wind, and now it just glides, moving faster and more gracefully than it ever could with all that rowing. The sutra gives us an even better metaphor to really get this. Picture this. You're having a dream, and in that dream, you're standing on the bank of this massive, raging river. You know you have to get across, so you pour every last ounce of your energy into fighting that current, struggling for every single inch. And then you wake up, and of course, the river is gone. The struggle never happened. All that immense effort you were just putting in just vanishes into thin air. That moment of waking up, the text says, that's what it's like to hit the 8th ground. Every struggle you ever had with delusion or with your own practice, it all just dissolves in the light of this one single realization. You know, this stage is so important, it's actually got a bunch of different nicknames. It's called the unturnable, because once you're here, there's no going back. It's the hard to attain, which makes sense given the journey. But my favorite is the stage of youth. Why? Because it represents a complete rebirth. The Bodhisattva is now considered born into the family of Buddhas, totally fresh, all past faults just gone. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. Right at this absolute peak of spiritual achievement, the Bodhisattva faces this critical choice. It's a temptation that isn't born from anything bad, but from a place of ultimate, perfect peace. I mean, think about it. You've just achieved this incredible, effortless state of being. You're free from all struggle. The natural thing to do would be to just stop, right? You could just enter final nirvana, leave the messy, suffering world behind, and just be at peace. The engine of effort has finally shut down. Why would you ever want to turn it back on? But at that exact moment, every single Buddha from across the entire universe appears. And they don't give a command. They just offer a gentle reminder. They say, hey, what you've done is amazing, but remember why you started this in the first place. Remember your original vow. You promised to help everyone, and the world out there is still hurting. Your job isn't done yet. And that reminder, it's like a spark that ignites a supernova. It triggers this influx of wisdom and power that's just almost impossible to comprehend. The sutra says that the wisdom the Bodhisattva gains in one single moment after this reminder is greater than all the wisdom they gathered over countless eons of hard work getting to this point. It's the ultimate power-up. So, re-energized and now infinitely more powerful, the Bodhisattva turns their attention outward. They transition from the deep inner peace of the 8th ground to the dynamic, compassionate action of the 9th. This is the moment realization transforms into pure mastery.
And this next stage is called the ground of good wisdom. The whole focus shifts. Now that they've perfected their own inner world, the bodhisattva becomes a dharma master of the absolute highest level. Their main gig is now teaching, and it's guided by a flawless, compassionate understanding of every single being they encounter.
So how is this possible? Well, they've basically gained a new kind of spiritual omniscience. The sutra uses this beautiful image, saying the bodhisattvas can now see into the dense forests inside of every person. They perceive the tangled, complex inner worlds we all have, all our karma, our hidden habits, our deepest beliefs. They see it all with perfect clarity. This deep understanding lets them master what's called the four unhindered eloquences. Basically, it's the ultimate teacher's toolkit. They've got a perfect grip on the core principles, they get the profound implications, they know the exact right words to communicate flawlessly, and, this is the best part, they can teach in a way that is just captivating and inspiring to listen to. And get this, they can now use this toolkit in literally any situation. The bodhisattva now has the power to appear in whatever form is going to be most helpful to the person they're teaching. If they're talking to a devout person, they might show up as a monk. To a leader, maybe a king. They can appear as a god or even take on the form of a fully enlightened Buddha, all to perfectly meet their audience right where they are.
So let's zoom out. When you look at these two stages together, you see they're not really separate levels. They're two sides of the same incredible coin, the perfect fusion of profound inner peace with powerful, compassionate action. It really just boils down to this. The eighth ground is all about inner realization. It's a state of effortless being. The key metaphor is waking from that dream, and the fuel is their vow. The ninth ground, then, is all about outer mastery. It's a state of skillful doing. The metaphor here is the master teacher, and the fuel is the power to actually put that vow into action.
Ultimately, what this whole journey shows us is that real enlightenment was never about just escaping the world. It's about finding a peace inside yourself that is so deep, so unshakable, that you can then turn right back around and engage with the world with perfect skill, perfect wisdom, and endless compassion. It's the ultimate synthesis of being and doing. So that leaves us with a question to ponder, right? This journey from inner stillness to skillful action. What does it teach us about what wisdom really is? And maybe more importantly, in our own lives, how do we find that balance between working on our own inner peace and the call to go out and act with compassion in the world?